Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Other Israel Film Festival. My name is Isaac Zablocki. I'm director of the festival and director of film programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And this is a very special conversation that we're having for the film One More Jump. This is our second to last night of the festival. Tomorrow night's our closing night. Please join us for that. We have a Q&A with the film Laila in Haifa, directed by Amos Gitai. Amos Gitai will be there with Tzachi Alevi and Maria Zrik, two actors from the film, and it'll be moderated by Richard Pena. So please join us for that and more at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Immediately after, there's a Chag HaChagim celebration, which will be kind of our after party of the festival, which is a religious celebration that happens every year in Haifa, and we're bringing it to life with music and performances right here at 6 p.m. So join us for that right after the closing night event. But on to tonight's event. First of all, I want to say it's just been an amazing week. You have another just over 24 hours to see these films and to tell your friends to see these films. And I want to thank all of our partners who are amazing and doing all the work on the ground. Please check out the partner page. But most importantly, specifically for this film, I want to give a big shout out to J Street, who helped us out and got us our amazing moderator for tonight, who is Shifra Sered, who currently serves as J Street's associate regional director for the tri-state and Pennsylvania, where she focuses on growing J Street's political and Jewish communal impact in New York State. She was previously the resource development and advocacy coordinator for Gisha, Legal Center for Freedom of Movement, leading an Israeli human rights organization promoting freedom of movement for Palestinians in Gaza. So you see the connection there. She was also a New Israel Fund Social Justice Fellow. New Israel Fund is, of course, another fabulous partner of ours. I think this film really shows the whole festival has this year, more than ever, I think, so much diversity. And this film is just one other aspect of Arab life that relates to Israel and specifically Palestinian life in Gaza, which was important to show and share as well. And just another piece, and in such a different flavor, it really is a very special film. It gives me great pleasure to introduce. First of all, let me note that there's interpretation for this film, for this conversation. So there's English interpretation and Arabic interpretation available. Abdallah Hawili is our interpreter who was here with us for opening night as well. And he's going to be interpreting for Abdallah Inshasi, who you will recognize from the film. Thank you, Abdallah, for being here with us.
Welcome.
And we also have the director of the film here, Emanuele Gerosa. Emanuele, thank you so much for being here. And yes, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and then we will try to open the questions, open the chat open your mic so you could ask the questions live. Sorry, it's been a long week. And then at the very end, we'll also do some breakout sessions so you can have another opportunity to discuss this and meet your peers and see your friends from around the corner or the other side of the country. This has been working very nicely throughout the festival. So now it gives me great pleasure to hand this over to Shifra Sered. Shifra, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And thank you to the Other Israel Film Festival for bringing us all together tonight and for showing us this really important film. I think for those of us who are invested in Israel, in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, really need to be hearing more stories coming from Gaza. And I think this movie is a really unique opportunity to hear some stories that are rarely heard, unfortunately. I want to make sure we have as much time tonight for questions. So I think we'll just jump right in. We'll have about a half an hour of moderated conversation that I have the honor of moderating. And then I know we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. So start thinking of your own questions as well. So my first question is for Abdallah. And I will be careful to use short sentences that are easier to translate. When we first meet you, Abdallah, in the film, you're living in Italy, looking for work and already a parkour athlete. And I'm eager to hear. I'm eager to hear how you got started with parkour. How did you hear about it? What about it interested you?
ما الذي جعلك مهتما بالباركور؟ يعني شو اللي هو جلبك خلاك تمارس الباركور بهذا الشغف الذي كنت تمارسه به؟
طبعا الباركور بالنسبة لي يعني كان إلي هدف أو حلم أو يقدر يعطيني الحرية إن أقدر أسافر فيه يعني مكان بعيد عن المكان اللي أنا انولدت فيه اللي أنا كبرت فيه. ترجم أحسن.
Yeah, منترجم أكيد. So I chose parkour with all this passion because it was my goal to travel far away from the place I was born into, and that was my only way out in a way.
ومن خلال طبعا الباركور قدرت إن أقدر يعني أصل للأهداف اللي أنا اللي كنت بحلم فيها، وأقدر أوصل رسالة وقصة من طبعا من أزقة مخيمات. يعني طبعا الأزقة هاي هي اللي خلتني أكمل.
يلا حترجم وترجع بتكمل. Through parkour I was able to achieve all the goals that I've dreamt of, and I was able to deliver a message from the alleys of the camp that I was brought into.
طبعا طبيعة الثقافة عندنا وطبيعة طبعا الحياة أو اللي إحنا بنعيشها كانت بالنسبة لك كل يوم يمر فيه تقدر تنزع صفحة أمل من حياتنا. هذا الإشي اللي خلاني أقدر أكمل في يعني في رسالتي. كان إشي تحدي بين وبين الأمل، وإن كيف أنا أقدر أحصل عليه، وعن حريتي، وعن أقدر كيف أعبر بأسلوب الرياضة وبس مو كأنها مجرد رياضة.
So of course my way of life in the camps was very challenging, and every day going through was even more challenging than the other one, and getting into this sport was my way to freedom. Even though it had a lot of challenge in it, I had to go through it in order to attain the freedom I've always dreamt of.
طبعا آخر شيء ممكن أضيف الرياضة هذه كانت بالنسبة لنا يعني بالنسبة لنا كانت نوصل كيف أعبر لك إياها. يعني كانت يعني الحقيقة كانت في المنطقة عندنا، أو الحقيقة الشيء اللي إحنا تربينا عليه كانت يعني صعب إن نكمل، وصعب إن نحاول نكمل في طريقنا وفي حياتنا. وكان كل إشي يعني كل إشي مكسور، كان كل إشي اتبعثر، كل إشي يعني ما في ضل أمل إنه نقدر نحاول نوصل الرسالة. ولما قدرنا نحاول نوصل الرسالة كانت إشي بسيط، إنه من خلال شاشة الحاسوب، ويعني من خلال الفيديوهات البسيطة. وطبعا الرياضة هذه كانت تقصر إن مسافات والوقت، وتقصر إن كل إشي كانت بالنسبة لحياتنا.
And in the middle of all the challenging things that we have to deal with in the camp, sport was the only positive part of it, the only tool that was our way to achieve success. And we started by through a computer We started to post videos of our parkour, of our jumps, and that was the beginning of it, like the way to get out of what we are going through.
Thank you.
شكرا.
Thank you. And continuing with you, Abdallah, I think something I noticed right away is how dangerous parkour seems, seeing some of those amazing jumps and backflips that you did in Italy over cement ground, or the scenes in Khan Yunis of people hopping over buildings that feel like they might crumble at any moment. And I wonder how you found the bravery to throw yourself into a sport like that.
وبدنا نستمر معك عبد الله. السؤال هو لاحظت انه في الفيديوهات في خان يونس كنت عم تنط على هذه الحيطان بالمباني المتضعضعه، المباني اللي على وشك انها تتدمر يعني بعد شوي، عرفت كيف؟ وبايطاليا كنت عم تقفز على الارض اللي معمول من الاسمنت من البطون. فكيف وجدت الشجاعه لان تستمر بعمل هذه الامور على الرغم من المخاطر الناتجة عنها؟ يعني يمكن الحيط يوقع فيك أو يمكن أنك تكسر حالك إذا قفزت على الإسمنت.
طبعا هذا الإحساس بالرياضة، يعني حتى لو وين ما كنت، حتى كنت في إيطاليا أو كنت في غزة، طبعا انزرع فينا وترعرع فينا وانزرع فينا كتير مواقف في حياتنا، يعني كانت يعني كبرنا وعلى شغلات بسيطة، يعني ما عمرنا ما حاولنا إن مثلا نأذي حدا، بس بالعكس كنا نحاول إن نوصل رسالة حتى لو كانت على المباني المهدمة. يعني المباني المهدمة هذه كانت يعني بالنسبة لنا يعني صالة رياضية تعتبر، يعني ما كنا شباب وحابين نوصل يعني رسالة ونوصل فكرة إنه هالشيء يعني بيعطينا أمل وبيعطينا دفعة للأمام إن نمارس ورياضتنا.
Of course, so it's the feeling of the sport that keeps us going, even though on the crumbling walls of Khan Yunis and Gaza or in Italy, the message is what mattered for us more than any of the other discomforts that we were caught into. We tried to elevate ourselves from all that because our sole purpose was to deliver the message of this sport, and the feeling of this sport outweighed all its hazards and all its the dangers that entails of doing this sport. So what mattered to us the most was the message and continuing to do this sport no matter what.
And my next question is for, oh, sorry. Does Abdallah have something to add?
Abdallah, بدك تزيد شيء؟
لا تمام هيك، ما بدي أطول المحادثة، تمام.
No, it's okay. I don't want to add anything. That's it. I don't want to keep the conversation very long.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll have more questions for you. But my next question is for Emanuele. I'd love to talk about the first scene of the film, which I found really beautiful and really powerful. It's a group of young men and children running in Gaza. And what really struck me was just the speed. The scene goes on for quite a while, and you see people running so hard and doing these flips and incredible jumps. And the sort of obvious contrast right away of that sort of freedom and speed of movement with the realities for people in Gaza, which is that freedom of movement is incredibly restricted. I think the comparison to an outdoor prison is very apt in terms of the restrictions on movement that exist. So I imagine that choice was purposeful, and I'm eager to hear more about how you highlighted that contrast between the freedom of parkour and the reality of life in Gaza.
عبد الله ولا يهمك، حيكون هناك أسئلة أخرى لكي تحكي أكثر ولا يهمك. ولكن هذا السؤال الآن إلى إيمانويل، عم تسأله كيف عملت هذا الفيلم بظل حظر التجول الموجود بغزة، وكيف قدرت تعمل هذا الفيلم يعني على الرغم من أنه مثل السجن، كأنكم عايشين في سجن هناك، ولكن الباركور تمنحكم الحرية. فعم تسأله لإيمانويل كيف وجد هذا التناقض، ويعني شو كان الإيحاء له لفكرة الفيلم.
Yeah, so hello everybody. In the first place, I'm Emanuele Gerosa, and thanks for the question. As they often say, like the beginning and the end of a film, of a movie, are the most important parts. And the middle, you can put whatever you want. I disagree with that, but still, it's true that the beginning and the end are very, very important. So with the director of photography, Matteo Del Bo, like we were only the two of us in Gaza. So we were debating for, let's say, not a long time, but we spent quite a lot of time thinking how we could have started the film. Because obviously we were thinking, we could use a drone or maybe driving with a car beside the guys or in front or whatever. But then like before making this film, I wasn't acquainted with parkour at all. I wasn't an expert of parkour, and I'm not an expert now either, no, but still I've learned quite a lot of things. And before starting the film, I documented myself watching several videos of parkour. And all of them, they are very dynamic. They have a rhythm, a very frantic rhythm. But what I wanted to do, for me, what was the main point? It was to try to transfer to the audience the same feeling I had when I was with the guys training, when the guys were training and I was with them. I mean, that the moments in which the guys are training are the only moments in which they can experience freedom, in which they feel free. So I really for me, it was very important to begin the film with that feeling, and especially
Sorry. I think you're back now. So we missed the last couple of sentences. I think you're back.
I froze for a moment. Sorry. So I was saying that for me, the most important thing, it was to try to give to the audience the feeling of being one of the guys, being among them, and running and jumping among them. And so me and the director of photography, we chose the most difficult, let's say, the most difficult way, and we decided to run along with the guys. So Matteo, the director of photography, he was holding the camera and I was beside him holding the mic, and we weren't jumping. I'm not going to lie about that, but we were running all the time behind the guys. And that scene of the beginning of the film, and also the other scene where when the guys in Jihad and the other guys in Gaza or Abdallah in Italy are performing parkour, we repeated them several times because we had to find, because in the end it's like some kind of choreography where everything should match in a perfect way, as it is when they jump and they do the perfect jump.
Well, it was really effective, Emanuele. It really felt like we were running on the sand with that group of guys, especially right from the beginning. So I guess worth all the cardio of running and keeping up. My next question is for Abdallah, and relates a little to what he said earlier about overcoming a lot of hardship and a lot of the danger of the sport for a goal. And my question is, what is the message that you want audiences of this film to walk away from about you, about your life, about Gaza, or anything else that you want to speak about?
السؤال هذا هو لعبد الله. كنت عم تحكي أنت عن تجاوزك لكل الصعوبات، يعني بهدف أنك توصل رسالة. شو هي الرسالة اللي بدك توصلها للجمهور؟ شو هي العبرة اللي بدك توصل لهم إياها بشأن غزة؟ شو بدك الجمهور يعرف؟ شو هي هذه الرسالة؟
الجمهور يعني أنا حابب يعرف إنه الرسالة اللي أنا حابب أوصلها بسيطة جدا، إنه طبعا حياتنا يعني كانت في سجن يعني في غزة، وكان يعني بداية سنة 2000 يعني بتذكر بداية الانتفاضة كان عمري 12 سنة، وأنا كان مولود يعني سنة 88 يعني كان منع التجول بتذكر هذا العام. وحتى سنة 2000 منع كل واحد من السفر يعني، وكان يعني كان لكل واحد بده يسافر كان بالنسبة له حلم، لأنه إحنا السجن يعني تربينا يعني في أزقة مخيمات يعني، وترعرعنا ودرسنا في مدارس الوكالة للغوث اللاجئين يعني، كان كل إشي يعني كنا عايشين على المساعدات. ولكن الرياضة هاي طبعا كانت بالنسبة إلي زي روح أو أعطتني إشي، وأنا يعني من صغري يعني بحب النطنطة زي ما بيحكوها وبحب القفز، وبحب الإشي اللي فيه مغامرة يعني الإشي وتربينا وكبرنا على هيك شيء يعني على المغامرة، ويعني كنا أطفال وكبرنا يعني في يعني كبرنا طبعا يعني في محبة إنه نوصل طبعا إنه بالنسبة لهذا السجن إنه في يعني مجموعة أو فئة من الشباب عندهم موهبة وحابين إنه يوصلوها يعني بطريقة يعني سلمية، وبطريقة إنها توضح إنه العالم موجودين، ويعني وكانت يعني وكان يعني سنة 2012 يعني بالنسبة كمان حتى هذا الكلام يعني الفيديو موجود يعني واحنا بنتدرب يعني نزل قبل هيك علينا قريب من المكان اللي احنا بنتدرب فيه قديسة، وهذا كان يعني موفق، وكان اشي يعني كانت رسالة يعني الناس عرفتنا اكثر بعد الفيديو هذا. الناس عرفت انه في يعني طبعا عن طريق التلفون وعن طريق اليوتيوب وعن طريق الحاسوب، حاولنا ان نوصل الرسالة بأقل شيء.
Yes, I want them. Our message is very simple. It's about our lives in Gaza and how it's like a prison to be there. I remember I was 12 years when the Intifada happened. It's the revolution that happened in Gaza. I was born in 1988. There was a curfew back then, and I have vivid memories of it. And in 2000, everybody had a travel ban placed on them. Everybody had a dream to leave the country, but they weren't allowed to do that. We were living off NGOs, we were living off public assistance, and we only had the sport to us as a way to push us through this dire situation that we've been going through. And for me, I always had this sense of adventure. I always liked to jump around as a kid. That was my spirit. And our message is to express how peaceful we are, and we want to achieve our dreams peacefully. And I remember that we shared a video once about our parkour, and that actually what pushed us forward. We used YouTube, we used the computer to in order to deliver this message.
Thank you. Going back to Emanuele quickly, and then I know there's a lot of questions for Abdallah also coming up in the chat. And my question for Emanuele is, I guess, maybe more about the end and the middle than the beginning, which is, I think, all equally as important. And something that I noticed throughout the film was that it didn't fall into this trope that maybe it could have around, you know, if you pursue your dreams, anything is possible. You can overcome all obstacles. That sort of like happy ending coming from despair, which I think is a very common trope. And I think you really did show the tragedy of the situation. You know, there are scenes that jump out, you know, of Jihad trying to provide for his family and taking care of his sick parents. The really challenging scene from the March of Return and the violence that you portrayed. So I would love for you to comment a little bit about how you navigated showing the truth and not falling into this genre, this trope, or I wonder if it was in the back of your mind as well as you made this film.
هذا السؤال حيكون لإيمانويل على السريع ولا عبد الله. هناك الكثير من الأسئلة جايتك بعد شوي. هناك في قسم الدردشة أسئلة لك. هلا عم تسألوا لإيمانويل عن يعني البداية ونصف الفيلم هو الأكثر أهمية، وأنه بس يكون عندنا حلم معين نحن بنعمل المستحيل من أجل تحقيق هذا الحلم. وكان يفرج أيضا وضع جهاد السيء جدا، عم يحاول يعيل أباه المريض، وبنفس الوقت كان عم يمارس هذه الهواية، وكان يعني عم يصورنا مشهد العائلة بشكل عام.
Well, let's say that before meeting Abdallah or before going to Gaza, I really had no idea about what I could have found there. Because actually, I mean, I would say in Europe, I mean, probably all around the world, but let's say that I can properly talk about Italy. Our news, the information we receive from that area of the world, from Palestine and Israel, I think is really, let's say, it shows the situation only from a certain angle. So I really didn't know what I could have found there, because in my previous work, I always learned that you can really know something, get to know something when you experience it directly. And there are many shades that are not commonly told by the media, by the news. But at the same time, when I was there, I had this, let's say, this strong feeling, despite all the advice that I've received here about the situation that probably would have been dangerous for us to be there, to film there, to go around over there in Gaza, I had a certain feeling of safety. I mean, I was around. We were around with Jihad and the other guys, and we felt safe all the time. And not only safe, but we also, everybody, all the people that we met were so friendly and generous and easy to connect with, that I was really impressed. No? And it was difficult for me when I was there to, to transfer this information to my family here, for example, not to say like, don't worry, nothing is going to happen, probably. No? And at the same time, focusing on what you were asking, I remember that obviously while we were filming, because the process of this film, or maybe of many other films, but of this film at least, it was that we were going to film and investigate a bit and to try to discover what was going on. And at the same time, and right after, when I was going back home, I was writing like more the hypothesis of what we could find next time next shooting, no? And during all the process of filming, and especially in post-production during the editing, I strongly wished to find a way to finish the film, to end the film in a more positive way. Let's say the story is very harsh, is very dramatic. And for me, let's say I was struggling to try to find a way to add some positive outcome in the end. But then, that I remember very clearly this, no? Because after all the years filming, when we were in the editing room, I remember that with the editor, we tried some solutions and simply they weren't working. Like they felt fake. And so I thought, okay, this is the footage, this is the film that is telling me that I can bring it to a certain extent wherever I want, but not completely wherever I would like. And then obviously as a documentary filmmaker, you have to respect reality, but you also bend it according to your dramatic needs, let's say dramaturgic needs. But I remember clearly that with this film, like there was no way to bend the footage to have a more positive outcome. And then I said, okay, probably this is how reality it is. For certain people in the world, there's not an happy or a positive outcome, and they must be truthful to that. Did I answer to your question, or did I wave it too much?
No, you really did. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, you really answered my question. And perhaps as a follow-up that I see people in the chat are also curious about, you spoke to one of the challenges around filming in Gaza, which is perhaps the misinformation or the sort of mistruths that people believe about Palestinians in Gaza, and maybe even the lack of knowledge that people have about what's happening there. But I wonder if you could speak to other, maybe more logistical issues. What was it like getting in and out of Gaza? Were there issues of electricity or other issues of access when filming in Gaza? I imagine it was not straightforward.
Yeah. So I have to say that getting in Gaza and getting out was quite easy for us, despite, also in this case, despite everything I've been told before, because in Italy, I remember that the production and the TV, the national TV, everybody was saying like, it's impossible, you're not going to be able to get in and so on. But then I did as I have done in the past for other projects. And I contacted the chief of an Italian NGO working in Gaza. And I asked her if she could bring like work for our permission, our visa to go to Gaza as members of the NGO, not journalists or filmmaker, no, but as member of the NGO. And she did it. And actually, in this way, it was very easy to get into Gaza and also getting out. Then, obviously, once there are, as you mentioned, there are several problems like electricity, also dangerous moment to move around, because if this, for example, we were there, one of the times we were there, it was when Trump announced to move the embassy, the American embassy to Jerusalem. And obviously that was a very tense moment and a very dangerous moment as well. But, you know, I think that we manage, basically, I would say that we managed quite well, because in first place, we were very light, very small crew, because we were 2 people. And a third one that worked as a soundman that was from Gaza. And then second thing that in my opinion helped made things easier while we were filming, it was that we had two mattresses on the floor in a room of the UN of a UN office. But then I said to Matteo, to the director of photography, that I thought that in order to make the film as I would have liked to make it, we couldn't just film in during the day and then say bye-bye, you stay there and we go back to our not comfortable, but anyway, safe UN office. I said, we need to stay with the characters, with the person, because we need to share this journey together. And then we moved, after the first 2 days, we moved to Jihad's house. And then it was more difficult for the electricity and the basic means maybe, but it was totally profitable and useful for establishing a real relationship and share an adventure together and being able to film certain things. And the same happened with Abdallah in Italy. Like when we went to Florence, we didn't go to film him in the abandoned house and then in the evening to a hotel. We shared life with him, and every time we went to Florence to film with him, we went to his house, sharing the same destiny, let's say.
Great, thank you. I think I have to hand it over to Isaac now, although I'm sure I have a million more questions for some audience Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shifra. And we'll be taking now some questions from the audience. I'm going to start off with Robin. Robin, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you. The film was very powerful and really moving. And I thank the filmmakers and also the people who participated in being filmed. I wanted to ask Abdallah if he was happy with the decision he made to leave Gaza, considering how difficult it was, all the challenges they faced once he left, and also if he felt, comfortable being filmed with all these challenges that he was facing.
هيدا سؤال لعبد الله. هذا الفيلم اللي انعمل عنك هو فيلم قوي جدا وفيلم رائع. بدنا نسألك يعني شو هي التحديات، يعني على الرغم، هل أنت مرتاح أنك تركت غزة؟ هل أنت مبسوط أنك تركت غزة على الرغم من التحديات اللي تخوضها في إيطاليا الآن والصعوبات؟ وشو كان شعورك أن يتم عمل هذا الفيلم عنك؟
طبعا شكرا كثير لأن الفيلم كثير يعني عجب الفاستيفال. ثاني شيء أنا يعني خلينا نترك غزة، يعني غزة قطاع يعني كبره 360 كيلومتر مربع، يعني 2 مليون وعندك يعني كثافة سكانية يعني هائلة جدا. بعدين يعني في دراسات بتحكي من 2012 يعني لما يصير 2020 يعني حكوا يعني لا يصلح العائشة يعني في إنك تعيش في القطاع. يعني إحنا بنكتر بنجيب كتير يعني أطفال وبنجيب كتير خلفة. طبعا خلاني أخرج يعني من هذا إنه أقدر أكمل حلمي وأسافر. يعني بحلم أنا بالنسبة لي طموح، بالنسبة لي تحدي، يعني كان إلي هذا إن أخرج من قطاع غزة. طبعا الغريب أنا يعني كنت غريب بنفس بلدي غريب، يعني حتى لو كنت في غزة عايش، لأنه أنا يعني بلد الأصلية يعني طبعا محتلة من 48 وبنينا حياتنا يعني بأدوات بسيطة وشغلات بدائية، ولما قدرنا نوصل وكبرنا تحت الخوف وتحت القصف يعني، وتحت دائما انت يعني تستنى ان الشيء هتحصل شغلة يعني مش منيحة. دائما نستنى هالشيء هذا، دائما كل لحظة نستناه. هكمل بعدين بس ترجم أحسن.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad that this movie has gained the admiration of the festival. As you know, Gaza is 360 kilometers large, and we are overpopulated now. That was the population was already very large in 2012, and now by 2020 there are studies and anticipations that say that Gaza Strip won't be it won't be welcoming for people. Like it won't be a place where people can live in anymore. And as you know, we've been occupied since 1948. And we're just always on eggshells, waiting for the next bomb to happen, for the next thing to happen. So all that was were big reasons for me to leave Gaza, even though there are a lot of discomforts abroad. We just had to leave that place eventually.
Thank you. We'll take our next question from Mati. Mati, you're on the air. We hear you.
Yeah, I wanted to know whether the film is being shown in Israel. This kind of film really should be made widely available because it is authentic, genuine, and in a way that no other depiction of Gaza that I have read before. So my question is, how is it being distributed? And of course, is it in Israel?
السؤال هو عم يسأله انه كيف يتم توزيع الفيلم اذا كان عم ينعرض باسرائيل، لان هذا فيلم حقيقي وفيلم يدل على معاناة الناس عن جد، فضروري انه ينعرض هذا الفيلم باسرائيل، وكيف يتم توزيعه الان.
So I will answer to this question, and thanks. It's a very important question. Actually, the film has not been shown in Israel, and I don't think it will either, at least for the, I mean, let's say soon. And I explain why. It's a very stupid production issue, but like I cannot do anything about it. So actually the film this year was also invited to Doc Aviv, the documentary film festival in Tel Aviv. That is a very, very important film festival, not only in Israel, but all around the world. And we had to deny their invitation, because the film is produced by an Italian production company. It's co-produced by Switzerland and is co-produced by Lebanon as well. And actually, the co-production in Lebanon is a very good friend of. She's a director and producer, and she's a very close friend of mine. So is a person I know personally and I estimate personally. And she offered to help us out with the film, to bring in for the film the funds from Al Jazeera documentary channel, in order to help us to finish the film, because in that moment, the Italian production and the Swiss production, they needed money in order to finish the film, and without that money, we couldn't have finished the film. But with this money from Al Jazeera and passing through Lebanon, there was one condition, that we couldn't show the film. We couldn't show the film in Israel because Lebanon and Israel are formally at war, are two countries at war. And then if we show the film in Israel, the Lebanese producer would face a trial for sure and could face jail. So we cannot risk that, obviously. And it's a very, 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 very stupid situation, because as Mati said, I think that if there's a place where this film should be shown, is Israel, precisely. We will bring it. I mean, I already know that we will bring the film in Gaza and in West Bank next year, in 2021. But in Israel, I think we must wait a little bit the situation to change, or or maybe try to, but not immediately, maybe next year or in 2022, try to find a low gap in order to try to avoid this situation.
Or maybe Lebanon and Israel will have peace by then. What do you think?
Oh, that would be the best. That would be the best.
We have a question from Ruth. Ruth, you're on the line.
Yes, hi. Emanuele, I guess I was thinking about the relationship between being a journalist and also being a participant, a colleague, a friend, perhaps, of the people you're filming. And one question that I wondered when I was watching the film is, did Jihad know that you were also in touch with Abdallah? Did Jihad ask you about, conditions in Europe? Did you sort of, in some ways that would be maybe perhaps breaching this, I don't know what you call it, an invisible wall or something like that. But did Jihad in Gaza talk to you about his own decisions and things like that? And I guess specifically about what the prospects might be for someone of his background, should he get to Europe?
I mean, I'm not sure I understood the question. Sorry, can you repeat it again? Sorry, because I'm not sure if I had the exact point.
I think you were in touch with both Jihad in Gaza and Abdallah at the same time. And yet it seemed like Jihad didn't know what was going on with Abdallah. Is that correct or no?
Yeah.
Did Jihad know that you were in touch with Abdallah? And I guess this question to me raised larger issues about, on the one hand, you're, as a documentary filmmaker, you're similar in a position to a journalist and you're documenting things, but you're also interacting with the people. And how did that relationship play out?
Okay, now I get it perfectly. And this is a very, very meaningful point to me, because so I must, in order to answer your question, I must talk about the context. When I knew Abdallah, and then after a few months, when I knew Jihad, both of them, they were like all of us, like, you know, like when we meet somebody that is a stranger, a foreigner, and somebody we don't know, we let's say that maybe we have our own storytelling of ourselves. So Abdallah was telling me about his life, his decision, how he founded the Gaza parkour team, and so on. And Jihad was doing the same when I met him in Gaza. But I noticed, I would say that this is one of the key factor of my job, the instinct of trying to perceive what is underlying below the words. I perceived that these two guys weren't in contact anymore, that they didn't know anything one about the other, and probably something happened in the past that put a stop to their friendship. So slowly, you know, because also obviously they didn't know me, so I couldn't just straightforward ask the question, hey, what's going on? Tell me, you know?
Yeah.
It's a kind of also like it's a way of establishing a relationship, creating a mutual trust, and then getting more intimate. And then slowly, I understood that both of them, they were obviously they were hurted about what happened in the past, because obviously, in my opinion, no, Abdallah was very happy to have the chance to leave Gaza, but he has this feeling of guilt within himself of having in order to seek for freedom, to having to abandon his friends, his mates, his family, his everything, his life. And at the same time, by the other hand, Jihad was extremely happy that Abdallah succeeded to leave Gaza and to go to Europe, to follow his dream. But at the same time, he was happy, because he would have loved to be the one to leave. So slowly during the 3 years of the process of filming, I was sometimes pushing a little bit, no, like maybe telling something about the other to one, something about the other, and pushing a little bit, like trying to make them thinking and reflecting about the how to say, the inevitability of the decision of the other. Mm-hmm. And then actually I'm quite happy that at the end of the film, now actually, like they are in contact again. They created a friendship bond again. And I'm not saying that is due to me. I'm not taking the I don't know the word, but I'm not saying that this happened thanks to me. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that through the film, I was investigating. I was trying to get deeper into this friendship, and probably getting deeper. You know, like the camera always act as a mirror, and probably both of them, watching themselves and what they were saying, what they were telling to this mirror, they understood probably that they could pass over and what once was among them could still be alive.
We're short on time. Let me just ask one last question just to know from both of you, what is next?
بدنا نسألكم اثنيناتكم أنت إيمانويل وعبد الله شو بعدين؟ ما هو التالي؟ شو مشروعكم؟
By Abdallah.
والله أنا حاليا قاعد بدرس، حاليا قاعد بكمل دراستي، لأنه حابب أفوت كون الدراسة، بشوف شو بدي أقرر، لأنه حاليا في المدرسة قاعدين بندرس من جديد.
So I'm currently at school, still studying at college, and I don't know my plans in the future, what they're going to be, until I finish my studies.
And how's your leg, Abdallah?
وكيف حال إجرك عبد الله؟
شوف أنا الإصابة عندي طبعا أكلتها في عمود الفقري تحت منطقة اللي بيحكوا عنها، مش عارف كيف تقولها، استنى شوي، أسفل الظهر عندي الإصابة، وطبعا عندي في النخاع الشوكي ضربت، طبعا عندي في رجلي ما في حركة حاليا. بمارس طبعا رياضة في بيتي، وعندي صالة رياضية، يعني بتدرب واهتم في حالي، ويوم عن يوم يعني في أمل إن شاء الله إنه أقدر أوقف على رجلي، ولكن بدها وقت، بدها صبر، وبدها طبعا تحدي، وطبعا هذه لحالها قصة تانية.
So my injury is in the spinal cord. It's in the lower back. So there is no movement at all in my legs at the moment. Nevertheless, I still exercise at home in my gym. I have like a small gym at home. I do some exercises, and God willing, in the future, I'm going to overcome also this impediment in order to better myself more in this sport and to heal from that.
And Emanuele, what's next for you? And also Jihad, how's he doing? What's next for him?
So Jihad, and it's a pity. I mean, and also because, sorry, I'm reading the questions sometimes, so it's difficult to know not to answer to that. Sorry, Jihad obviously would have loved to be here with us, to be in the panel, but the electricity in Gaza, I mean, they have 3-4 hours of electricity a day, per day. So it's, and you never know when you have these 3-4 hours. So it would have been very difficult to organize the panel with him, because maybe he could have been here, maybe not. So it was almost impossible to organize it. And I'm very sorry for that, obviously. And talking about what's next, so I don't know at the moment, usually, because by one hand, obviously, after having done this film, I must say that it's a little bit like a love relationship. Yeah, like you spend so much time, maybe not so much time, but in the 3-4 years that take the process of making a film or making this film, you have such an intense relationship with the characters, with the environment, with the situation, that then it's very difficult to detach from these people, this situation, and think and move on, no? And think that maybe this film was in Gaza, next will be in Australia, I don't know, just to say a place. No? It's very difficult to think what is going to be next. Because by one hand, I would love to go on and maybe do another film in that geographic area. Maybe not in Palestine this time, maybe in Israel, I don't know. But at the same time, I also know how my mind and my heart works, and I know that I works for with a following attraction. No? When I get impressed by something, then I say, okay, I want to know something more about it. And at the moment, I have not a specific project going on. I'm researching about 3-4 different topics, just to see if after this COVID winter, there will be something ready to start. And basically, you know, I would like this time to do a film if I want. I mean, I'm not saying anything concrete because there's nothing still concrete, no, in my mind. But I would like to make a film in Italy, my next film in Italy, because and this goes on with what I was saying before about the finance of the film and about the need of taking the money from Al Jazeera and from Lebanon and so on, that making a film abroad and in a place like Gaza specifically is really exhausting, not only mentally, because you are all the time thinking, okay, will we be able to finish the film or not, or everything will be, or at one point the film will simply crash and the project will crash and so on. And it is exhausting, I mean, because you never know if you will be able to bring to the end your 4, 5 or whatever years effort. So this is why I would like to do something closer that I can control better and I can do without waiting so long for the financial means that you need to make a film.
Thank you, Emanuele. I want to thank both of you. I know there's more questions. I want to thank both of you for being here, and I want to give a big thank you to Shifra Sered for moderating this conversation. Once again, a huge thank you to J Street. By the way, see the film Kings of Capitol Hill to really understand how important, if you don't know already, how important J Street is, but I think that goes hand in hand. I'm gonna let Abdallah translate in a moment, but I just want to also say that you got 24 hours to watch films and to tell people about these films, so let your friends know while it lasts. We're gonna take a few minutes to break out into breakout sessions now. So I'll let Abdallah translate, and then we're gonna go into breakout sessions where you should just talk about something that struck you about the film, introduce yourselves to your neighbor, and don't cannibalize the conversation. And of course, respectfully. Thank you very much.
بدي أتشكر جميع من سهلوا هذه الجلسة، جميع من شارك في هذا الموضوع. هلأ حنقوم تقسيمنا إلى يعني أماكن شخص مع جاره، حنقوم بتقديم نفسنا، نسأل بعضنا أسئلة وشو أكثر شيء عجبنا بالفيلم، وسنقوم بتقديم نفسنا في هذا بس يحولونا على القسم الآخر يعني. عبد الله.
Welcome back, everyone. Emanuele, I just want to ask you, people are anxious to know, I think Abdallah left us, but what is he studying?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, the 5 minutes were running away. I was the only one talking practically. I'm sorry. So if you agree, and if the people that were with me want to still ask me something, I'm here. I'm not running away. So Abdallah is studying like the secondary school, high school, because he studied in Gaza, but what he studied here is not useful. Because he didn't study at university in Gaza. University degree would be valuable here, but secondary school no. So he's studying it again. He's doing it again. And actually, as I was saying right before the 5 minute clock finished, Abdallah is living in my hometown at the moment. I think at the moment, and probably it will be for long, because when he had the accident, my mother and me, we tried to help him. So we brought him here because we achieved to give him the residency in my region, because my region in Italy is one of the richest, And then we have a very, very, very powerful social welfare. And so right after the accident, we brought him here, and he could have, so he had medical treatment for free, some kind of wage that obviously that could help him in any way, and so he's still here, and now he has also an apartment provided by the social welfare, and he's studying, and let's say that he's improving his life. Absolutely.
That's great. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining. Please join us tomorrow for our closing night, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you so much, Shifra. Thank you once again, and have a good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to Abdallah, our interpreter.
My
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
And happy Hanukkah. Thank you. My pleasure, Emanuele. Great work. Great work.